It is Monday, June 1st, and we have had a standard shakeup. The banned and restricted announcement was earlier today, and standard and historic and an entire mechanic of the game have been hit.
Yes, we have some cards that were absolutely toxic for the format of standard have finally been banned. We're going to talk about all of that, and the video starts right now.
Special thanks to our Patreon supporters who power our channel. Check out our Patreon for monthly giveaways, exclusive content, and even a starring role in our fan fight series. Link in the description below.
Hello and welcome to the day.
Thank you for spending your time with us.
I'm Jake.
I'm Joel. Welcome back to another episode of Jake and Joel Are Magic. We're going to talk about today, June 1st's B&R announcement, but first, if you would, go down there and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you like this video and you want to see more like it by the end, we would really appreciate it.
It's the best way to support the channel with just the click of a button. We have some cards to talk about today and a mechanic to talk about today. Spoiler, it's going to be Companion. This has been a really controversial mechanic. I guess let's go ahead and just get into the article. We can start talking about this.
June 1st, 2020 banned and restricted announcement from me and Duke. These are the three highlights. New Companion rule. Once per game, anytime you could cast a sorcery during your main phase when the stack is empty, you can pay 3 generic mana to put your Companion from your sideboard into your hand. This is a special action, not an activated ability. Okay. Then we also have in Standard, Agent of Treachery and Fires of Invention completely banned. And we also have Historic, Agent of Treachery, Fires of Invention suspended. Jake, what are your initial thoughts off the rip? And then we'll kind of dive into each of these individually.
I think that this is really good. Companion, the problem with it is that you have this card that you can 100% depend on to always have a mechanic that you can always count on. It's just there. So it's really easy to build strategies knowing that you have one of the key cards in your back pocket every single time you need it. As far as Agent of Treachery and Fires of Invention, the problem is when you combine cards like Fires of Invention with Treachery Time Raveler, and then with like Luca, and it becomes like this weird
Winota,
stranglehold.
Ways to cheat them out.
Oh, yeah. So it's just like Agent of Treachery it's such an expensive card, and you can see it's a 2/3 for 7. That's how powerful the ability is on Agent of Treachery. So it's like you don't even get a lot of power and toughness out of the card. It's all in the ETB. So it's just, I think this is a good step in the right direction. When you have something like Fires of Invention working alongside Treachery Time Raveler, which are both just absolutely punishing cards. This is good. This is good for Standard.
It seems like a step in the right direction. We will see the actual cause or the fallout of 3 generic mana to get your Companion into your hand before you can cast it. It's not coming from a special zone any longer, and you have to pay 3 mana to get that, what people were calling 8th card in your opening hand, ready to go. It does make it a little more susceptible to hand attack with, cards with effects like Duress. Obviously, it would have to target a creature, but sure. Is it enough? Is it still a mechanic that is necessary? I mean, look at Pioneer since they were out. Look at Modern since they were out. Even Legacy, as far back as Legacy. And with Standard, you really had to have a good explanation as to why you weren't running a Companion, because it only made sense to go ahead and utilize having that extra resource.
Yeah, I think the 3 generic mana when you're playing a competitive format, that does end up being a pretty sizable amount of mana. Unless you're playing something like Lurrus, which on turn 6 you just decide, okay, now we're going to go ahead and pay the 3, we're going to get the Lurrus. Or like turn 7, you have like a 1 cost in your yard. But now we're talking about turn 7. It really is like if you decide on turn 3, all right, now I'm going to put my Companion into my hand, it essentially says pay 3 to draw a card.
What I'm worried about...
You know exactly what the card is, however, it's like taking a turn off.
Right, yeah, exactly. But what I'm worried about is the bigger Companions. Karuga, Yorion, these cards have blue in them, so you can run Growth Spiral and Uro in a deck and just ramp out. Is the 3 mana even going to matter?
Sure.
Nissa might be back now that Fires of Invention isn't around. And Agent of Treachery.
Yeah, and in a control build, if you're playing something like Yorion, And I get like Yorion it just got hit with a couple really big bans here, Agent of Treachery and Fires of Invention. But do I think Yorion can find its way into another deck despite these bans? Yeah, probably so. So it's like in a control build, you could just be like, all right, well, this turn I have 5 mana up. I might as well go ahead and put Yorion in my hand because now I have 2 mana up that I'm going to use for countering. So it's just like, yeah, it's definitely going to affect some decks more than others, but I played in that tournament, and I know you played in that tournament. The format was absolutely abysmal. You're playing against very specific decks. You're playing against Winota Neoform, which also uses Agent of Treachery. You're playing against Luca Fires, which is Agent of Treachery. And then there's like 2 other decks that you can play against. One is going to be like a mono black kind of thing, and like the red deck.
Well, the problem is that Jeskai Luca with Agent of Treachery was far and above the best deck to play, and it even proved in Best of 1 that it could still hold its own, especially with a couple of tweaks just to make aggro decks less of a susceptible opponent. It was a hurtful deck because once it gets going, you can't really come back, but you still just have to sit there and let the thing happen, and eventually they win and they've taken all your lands and you're sitting there not playing anymore, and it just absolutely locked you out of the game. And so I understand that. However, there's this kind of idiom that a lot of people refer to when you're looking at formats. You don't ban the payoff, you ban the cause. There's going to be more payoffs that people find for a card like Luca to cheat a free card into the game on the back of a 1/1 counter. There will be payoffs like with Winota, where and you know, honestly, the best suggestion I've seen with Winota is that it should be errated to say when Winota or another card attacks, another non-human creature attacks, and make her attack on the triggered attack as well that's going to pull it off, and not just be played on turn 4 or really whenever you have 4 mana, which is more than likely going to be turn 3 in the right kind of build. Is it enough? I don't know. We'll see. I liked it. Fires is banned because we would have had to live with that card for quite some time. Rotation was not going to fix that. And
well, let's talk about the real question, which is, in the future, what can we do to avoid this? And I think that, it just seems to be, and I mean, we can call this a hot take, whatever you want to say, but I just feel like we are seeing these cards, and I do agree, Luca is going to end up being a problematic card moving forward, but we're starting to see these cards that are so pushed as far as power level that, a lot of people don't have time to test these cards before they realize how broken they are or not. So it seems like we have all of these powerful cards: Oko, Agent of Treachery, Fires of Invention, Veil of Summer. It's like every set has its own card that needs to be banned that comes out of it, and it just seems like a pushed product to sell a bunch of product, and then it's just not inspiring confidence because you're buying into certain decks, and now all of a sudden your deck gets absolutely ban-hammered because of some card that was just abusive that nobody could play test.
So what would you suggest is the solution?
I don't know. I think it just needs to be better play testing. I think there needs to be better process of determining whether or not a card is going to be toxic for an environment. I get the idea to want to push the power level of the game and push the different mechanics and try it out. However, when you have people that are buying into what is an expensive card game, this is an expensive card game. And so when you buy into a certain deck at X amount of dollars, and then all of a sudden now your Fires of Invention are banned, your Agent of Treachery are banned. I mean, it doesn't make all of the cards magically burn up into a fire, but that deck now is most likely going to be very different, and clearly it's not going to have the power level.
Sure, obviously. Yeah, I mean, the fallout of a ban is known. There was a Challenger deck that they sold as a standalone product that now has banned cards that were printed. The fallout is known. It's more about how do we avoid this in the future. I really like your point about better playtesting. Actually, I don't know if it's a matter of better or worse because, I mean, there's always going to be mistakes. Nobody's perfect. To err is human. However, more extensive, more playtesting, I think, is where my vote would fall. And honestly, I would vote for some kind of beta league. Put it under an NDA if you need to, but hire these guys that are the top minds of this game that aren't playing anymore professionally, that are just creating content. Bring them into the fold. Hire them as part. We just had all these contracts go to these MPL players. Let's carve out a little bit of that money. Let's put that towards some playtesting, some R&D. Let's have some beta leagues that are from outside eyes, that are outside minds and eyes that are coming up with this stuff. I'll see some streamers get on and over the course of 8 hours figure out what are the most powerful decks, how to build those decks, the best way to take advantage of it. And I mean, I watched essentially as soon as Ikoria was released online, I watched that Jeskai Luka deck get developed across 2 streams. 2 different streamers came up with that deck. I'm sure that other people were coming to it at the same time. However, that was just my experience with seeing it being brought into life. And suddenly it existed and it took over the meta. I don't think that it's impossible for us to get to a point where there are, there is some kind of beta league.
We can catch it before it's out,
right?
Like Minority Report.
There's some version of that. Look at World of Warcraft. You remember public test servers? We knew what was coming. We knew the new features that were being tested and put into place, but we didn't get any less excited because we knew it was coming. We just had a different way of looking forward to it, and we knew and could trust that it was going to be vetted. Now, there is a financial aspect to this game. You can't show your hand too much because it is still collectible, and people, don't want a lot of information to extrapolate from. So,
true. And also their printers, unless they were to really vamp up, like the idea of developing a set, getting it to printing, manufacturing it, getting all of that product ready to distribute, there's just no time for a beta test on that kind of thing. So a lot of the time we're seeing these cards probably well after they've been printed already, and there's no time to test them.
Right, but fix it. I mean, don't tell me that the printing industry in the world can't have a digital file sent to them with some words changed a couple of days to weeks in advance of a set being actually printed. If you need to adjust the timelines, adjust the timelines, but don't tell me that there's some little wizard's goblin that's been hired to go in and carefully tap out the letters on a stone tablet of Fires of Invention. It was made 6 years ago in a lab.
I'm trying to defend them there.
I know. I'm just
stake over these cards because this is just. It's just becoming a pattern of every set a card comes out that needs to be banned.
Absolutely.
In some way,
and I think it's more testing. I guess is my whole point to that whole thing. It's just more testing.
Needs more testing.
Right.
Like I get you're trying to pump out this secret layer product, and we need to talk to all of our best people. Well, what new cards need to be reprinted in Double Masters? Which new cards need to be in Jumpstart?
Right.
What cards do we need in Unsanctioned? All of these products that just kind of like fall into our shit that we can buy.
Yeah.
And it's just like, dude,
Two big takes I've seen from this R&D, because there's a lot of fallout from this one. Not from this R&D, from this B&R, from R&D. Historic. Agent of Treachery and Fires were suspended. That's how they've been doing Historic. That doesn't really shock anybody. They suspend a card, and then they see how it does, and then they fully ban it or don't. However, Agent of Treachery being banned in Historic, that wasn't the problem card. I'm assuming, and I'm pretty sure that this article confirms it, that they are worried about, for similar reasons, that they're worried about Agent of Treachery being cheated out. Winota is in Historic. Winota is cheating out Angrath's Marauders to double damage taken. The Winota deck in Historic doesn't even run Agent of Treachery. Okay? Fires I can see. Agent of Treachery in Historic doesn't make sense to me. Unless you're just trying to prevent, eventually, the Jeskai Luka deck becoming a Historic deck, which is possible, and you're just going to, kill your permanent thief creature altogether, which is fine with me. I don't like Thief as a mechanic in this game. I understand it, but I'm not a huge fan. I'm okay with it being done. The problem is that Winota is the problem in Historic and possibly in Standard. Now, we'll see. Like I said, you banned here with Agent of Treachery, you banned a payoff. You didn't ban the engine. Luca's still there. It's a Planeswalker. It's a top Planeswalker from your set, just like Oko was. Maybe they're a little gun shy to ban 2 top Planeswalkers from their set. I get that.
It's not as early oppressive as Oko, but
right.
Yeah.
And then Winota is what she is, and so I'm not sure if banning the payoff is enough. We'll see. We don't have a huge human, game-ending payoff for Winota in Standard anymore. Believe me, I've looked. However, in Historic, Angrath's Marauders is the payoff there. Are you going to ban Marauders like you banned Agent of Treachery in 2 or 3 months? I know that we have some Historic tournaments coming up because suddenly we're interested in that format because it's the only available non-standard format on Arena, and you have to play Arena. In this time of COVID. So I get it, but are we just going to be back to this because we didn't ban the problem in Historic? I don't know. Maybe there's not even enough data for them to make that call right now. We'll see.
We do need more people playing Historic because I do think it's a fun, untapped meta that offers... Like, I've had some really fun tinkering with decks in there.
Oh, yeah.
There's always going to be decks that are best in the meta, but I think having a wider range of cards to pool from is just going to be healthy for the meta. Too often we see Standard devolve into like 3 or 4 decks and then variants of those same decks.
Right.
And I want Standard to be better because right now I don't have a lot of interest in it. I did play it a little bit, and I'm excited to see how it changes now that these bans have gone through.
The last note I want to make about this is the timeline of all this and how I think that we are stumbling with this and we could do better. Okay, the announcement that a B&R was coming that would affect Standard and Historic and maybe Companion. I'm not sure exactly what the details of that were, but I know that the announcement took place on May 26th. Okay, that Saturday we had a historic event that I don't want overshadowed by anything else, but it was a money tournament for a format that everyone knew was about to get fundamentally changed. Okay.
And to be clear, it was not a historic event. It was a Standard event that was a historic.
Right. It was our first real money tournament on Arena, which is a fantastic thing. It's a huge step in the right direction, and I don't want it overshadowed by anybody going, well, it was dominated by Jeskai Luka and that deck's banned now. But that's how it's forever going to be remembered, and we can't do anything about that. Yeah. So the Monday after that tournament, we have the B&R.
Which is right now.
Right now.
Yep.
Then, this is not going to be implemented on Arena until Thursday. So from the time it was announced and everyone knew, Standard is essentially dead right now, or at least it's in a holding pattern because we know it's about to change for the last 3 months before rotation. We have had a dead format since May 26th, a quote-unquote essentially dead format since May 26th, and even right now, I can't get excited and go, you know what, Wizards? Excellent. Fantastic changes. You've heard me. Everyone has heard me be a proponent of push the development, push the style, push the cards, push the power level, but be very, also like gung-ho about bans and errating where necessary. Okay? This, however, a 2-week period, essentially of me going, I'm not really interested in playing Standard because it's still not fixed, even though I've known since last Tuesday that there's no way that the Standard was going to be the same. It's just frustrating. That was the last point I wanted to make with this video, is that how frustrating it is that essentially we have this 2-week window, 3 months from rotation, and a couple weeks from a new set, where essentially nobody needs to play Standard. Nobody wants to play Standard because you admitted yourself, Watsy, that it's broken because you fixed it. But you didn't, why it's Arena? Why? I understand that there's a lot in the background that I don't know about how long it takes to get some of these things done, but come on, we've got to be better. This needed to be press a button. In a perfect world, it's an online platform, press a button, fix the thing, and let's move on. I know it's not that simple, and I'm oversimplifying the hell out of it, but we've got to get to there. It's live on MTGO.
I mean, if they want to push Arena needs to be ready to go at these kind of announcements. They should have had it ready to go. I'm sure they just want people to be able to have a few more days playing their cool combo that they love. Get your Jeskai Luca in because it's going away.
Right, and, yeah. If you're ready to cheat in Agents of Treachery, you've got about 2 or 3 days left on Arena. Get in there and cheat them out to your heart's content.
Yeah,
otherwise,
go ahead and stream it and try to, be like, look how cool I am, and we'll see if, maybe some people will say you're cool. We'll see. Both
of us are salty because Jeskai Luca kicked us out of that tournament, and neither of us stayed too.
I went 4-3, by the way, playing Witch's Oven variant. A catless Jeskai Witch's Oven. And you know what? I put in Dovin's Vetoes, and if I had mulled for Dovin's Veto, maybe I could have beat Jeskai Luca.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
Maybe.
And I lost. And
let us know.
I'm not that good, so.
Let us know down below what you think of this B&R. I know that I was a little more negative than I normally am in this video, but this one in particular just kind of has hit me in a sore spot because let's push it. Let's ban cards when we need to, but let's get this done. Let's get this done. You should have announced this last Tuesday. That's really where it is for me. You should have announced this last Tuesday. These cards are changing. Let's go back to out of the blue B&Rs. Nobody cares about this week in advance crap that happens now. And you had a major tournament last weekend. It just doesn't make any sense. Let us know down below what you think. If you want to support us further, we have a Patreon. The link is down in the description below. We got monthly giveaways. It's a new month. We're about to go give away some bundles. So make sure you go check us out on Patreon if you want to join in on the fun. And if you want to hang out with us, we stream on YouTube and on Twitch. Make sure you hit that go live notification button so you know when we go live. Jake, what did I leave out?
You left out that if they had made the announcement last Tuesday, a whole bunch of people wouldn't have bought into that tournament, knowing that the format was broken.
Well, I think people would have bought in anyway because people want to play Magic at the end of the day.